executing, we are not getting any outcome, because print positive number statement will execute if number is greater than 0, if this condition is going to become true. Okay? So if statement used to choose whether two statement block can be performed or not. In case we are going to use the if else statement where we have two alternative, then you can apply if condition is true, then some statement else print up negative number. If you are executing and keeping this condition to be negative 10, we can get the second print statement to be performed. Now let us take if else statement where we have more than two of alternative to be chosen from. Okay? So we have the number to be 0. So my number which are entered, either that can be positive number or negative or 0. So out of these three statements we want to display. So we are making a code as a if number is greater than 0, we can display print number. In case if elif number is equal to 0, print 0, else print negative number. So if the number greater than 0 condition and number equal to 0 conditions are going to be false, then print negative are going to be performed. एक बार मैसेज देखो क्या है. अरे मैसेज देखो. Okay, so if you are executing this statement, we are getting number to be 0, we are getting 0. If you are going to be write this number to be 10, so now this is going to be a positive number. So now num is greater than 0, false. Then it will come to the elif condition to be checked. Num equal to 0, false. But num is greater than 0, that is true. So we are getting a positive number. Okay. So this way we can use the elif else statement to choose from multiple alternative to be executed in any of the Python program. Similarly, we can do the nested if statement. It means that inside if we can apply the if else statement or if statement. Okay. So here we can see in this code number was taken 10.5. If number is greater than equal to 0, then again we are checking whether this number is equal to 0, then we can display print 0, otherwise else print positive number. So in case of the number greater than 0 condition is true, then we have to choose out of this print 0 or positive number. So inside if statement we can use either if or if else statement. If number greater than 0 is false, then we can use the else and make the negative number to be printed. Okay. So that way the nested if statement can be done. It means inside the if statement we can use if or if else statement or if else statement. Okay. So already we discussed this largest element among three number using the conditional statement. So we take in three number. If num is greater than equal to number 2 and number 1 greater than equal to number 2. So we are going to combine these two conditions using the AND operator. If num1 is greater than 2 and number 3, then largest will be number 1. And if number 2 is greater than number 1 and number 2 is greater than number 3. So these two conditions are combined as a complex condition using the AND operator. Then the largest number will be num2. Else our number 3 is going to become a largest number. And at the end we are going to display the largest element among three number is the largest. Okay. So that way we can use this conditional statement to decide which are to be performed. So I am going to be stop this decision making statement, and we will discuss in the tomorrow's session again few of the example of decision making statement. Now we are going to move to another concept of the Python programming, that is about the looping statement, where we are required to decide how many times some of the statements are going to be take place depending on the problem requirement. Okay. So now with us we have Dr. Satan Chauhan. He is going to be take the session on looping statement, which is another form of control statement, which are going to control the structure of the statement in the Python program. What's the name? All right. So welcome back. So we have quick आधा पेज का वो थोड़ा डिटेल स्टेटमेंट तो संजय बोला सर आप भिजवा दो सारे मेरे पीछे पड़े मुझे कैसे निकाल दिया दिनों से जो प्रोडीन का भेजा है प्रोडीन का जो पीएचडी का यूज करने का तो तुम्हें So let's begin our session, a quick session over loops. Before starting, let me introduce some basic concepts that you might have already covered, but just to give you a quick recap there, and then we will see about decision making. So you might have studied the operators. So you might have studied the operators, and there is one function which is called ID, which gives you the integer representation of the address where the data is stored.
So in this particular example, you have two variables x and y, where x is assigned 5 and y is assigned x. So both are basically uh, so in the memory where so in the memory where 5 is stored, x is referring to that memory address, and similarly you are referring y to x, and y is also referring to the same memory location where 5 is stored in the memory. So id is one function in Python which gives you the integer representation of that address in the memory. So if you run it, and if you see the output of print id x and print id y is same. So basically both are referring to the same memory location, that's why they have the same value. Another concept which about list, so though it will be covered in the upcoming session, I'll give you just a small idea about it. So list is a collection of more than one data or objects. Till now you have covered different types of data type like integer, like you've covered integer, so you have seen various types like integer, okay, so it is not okay. Meanwhile, it is taking time. Let me explain you. So, more than, if you want to keep a more than one data, for example, let's say you are building a software for predicting the weather forecast or finding out what is the average temperature. So there are two ways, either the variables that you have studied till this point of time, you can keep all the temperature in a separate variables, and towards the end you just add those variables and get the average. Or compositely, that data you can represent by a single variable, and you can think of it as a collection of data. It could be integer, it could be a string, or it could be a float, or a mix of these. You can put it into a composite data structure. One of the data structure is list. So if you see here, we have four constant string, which we have represented as a list and represented by a variable a. So a list basically represented by a square brackets. So if you have a square brackets and the comma separated values, so that represent a list, and you can just print a list by referring to the variable, so that variable refers to the list which is stored in the memory location. And since there are more than one items in the list, you can iterate through each of this list and using the index. Similarly here, if you see here, we have another list B, and you can see there are some elements like var, squat, bar and foo, which is similar to the list of elements in A. So if you check whether these two lists are same or not, so if A is B, if you print it, you will find out it will print false. Though the content, though the elements that are there in the list are same, but it is still giving you the false. It is because lists are ordered in nature. Ordered means the element positions, if different, then it will consider two lists as a different list, even if both contain the same element. There is another property that you can not only you can have a similar type of data in the list, you can have any type of data. So for example, here you have a float value, you have a string, you have integer value 3 and 4, and again a string and a boolean type which is false and the float value. So you can have varying type of data inside a list, and you can combine those data inside a list. So think about for example, let's say if you want to store student information. So student information might contain the name of the student, ID, address, and any other value, whether he has taken the hostel in the institute or not, representing as a boolean, true or false. So all those data, particularly for one student, we can represent by a list. Though it is not a convenient way, we have more other options, but just for the understanding, you can get represent multiple data as a list, and you can access those elements, and you can have a varying type of elements inside a list. And so list can contain even not only varying type of data, also complex objects. You can put inside a list a function as well, class as well, module as well, though which you will see in the upcoming session. So list can contain anything. You want to A is a list, yes. Okay. So there's question. So in slide 15. Okay. So yes, A is a list, and so A is initialized with the previous cell value which is shown in the slide 14. So both are list, but since it is ordered list, so both are considered as a different list. So before moving to this control statement like loops, so just giving you a brief idea about what is list. Then in the upcoming session you will have a detailed understanding of list, what is list and how it is different from other complex data types like dictionary, set, and tuple. And it is just here in slide number 15 is just a comparison whether it is B or not. So we are just it is just giving you the output false, because though both contain the same element, but they are since lists are ordered, so they are both are different, because ordering of the elements is different between both the lists. And next, then we have seen list can contain varying type of data types. So it is not unlike in other programming language like array, where you define an integer list, so that contains only integer. List is basically can contain any type of data. Even not only data, you can put a object, function, classes, module inside a list, so that you will see in the upcoming session, and how complex lists can be. And for slicing and indexing, so you might have, so if you see here, so now I can open, I hope that should work. So if you have a list, let's say this is your list, contains some data. So to identify, if you provide simple problems according to the day classes, so that yes. So towards the end of this notebook, you will find out some coding problems, some simple problems, and that you can practice. And I will share this notebook with you. So that list is indexed since it is ordered, so indexing start from 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. So for each element you can identify using index. So for example, here the list in the given example, if you find out, so given a list A which we had initialized in the previous cell, if you see here 21.42 is at index 0, then 2 bar is at index 1 and so on. Unlike other programming language, Python has an interesting indexing mechanism from right to left as well. So from left to right it goes from 0, 1, 2, 3 and from right hand side it starts from -1, -2, -3. So if you see here, if you are printing A -1, so which is just the rightmost element in the list. So if you see here in the list, the rightmost element is just -1 at 3.14. So that is the -1. And you can also provide a range where you want to get the list. So for giving a range, you put column. So in the list, in the again square bracket, you mention the index. So your starting index and the end index. So starting index is starting from 2 and it will go till 5. So 5 is not included and 2 is included. So starting index is included and the last index, end index item is not included. So it will go from 2, 3 and 4. So if you see here in list A, so this is 0, 1 and this is 2. So this will be included. 3, add the index 3 which is the element is 4 and add the index 4 which is bar. So 3, 4 bar should be the output of 2 colon 5. So that if you run it, you will find out gives the output. So this was just an introduction about of a list. Then there are some other complex data types like dictionary, tuple and how they are different from each other. You will see in the upcoming session. So you can provide both negative and the positive index as well. So that means that in this list that it starts from -5. -5 means from the right hand side -1, -2, -3, -4 and -5. So starting from -5 it will go to -2. That also gives you the same output because the list that is same as 2, 3, 4. If you skip any one of the index, for example, if you skip starting index, then it will be Python will automatically start with the initial index, which is 0. So if you are not writing anything and the colon and the end index, so it will print from 0 to 4, and 4 is not included. So it will print the elements which are at the index 0, 1, 2 and 3. Right? And if you are explicitly writing the beginning index of the list, then also it also gives the same response if you are writing 0 and if you are not writing anything. Okay, so in the third column, you can also provide a stride, how much element it should take, the size of the steps it should take. Right now indexing we are going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and we are going one element by one by one. If you provide the step as well, so it will jump from by 2 to steps. So you can see here you are starting from 0 going till 6. So it will consider up to item which exists at index 5, not 6, and it will take a slide of 2. So 0 will be this, and it will jump 1 and 2. So it will have 3, and then bar. So that was a small introduction about list, and you will see in the upcoming session the idea about the loops. That is the main topic that we are going to see right now. And in both the session, I have included some of the problems that you can do. So that is the towards the end it is there. So once the list dictionary columns you will complete, I'll share this notebook. You can do this exercise which is given in the notebook. So connecting to the same topic which were done in the previous session, which is control statement. So you have already seen the if and if else statement. So I'll not repeat that part. So in the selection statement, you either pick one of the options which are there. If you have multiple options and based on some criteria, you decide whether you want to go for one of the statements. So you make a decision, and based on decision, you either whether this decision is true or false, or what is the output of the decision. You make choice whether you execute statement A or you execute statement B, or you might have some other options like statement C. So that is called selection statement, and for selection you have seen you can use if you have only one condition, and if you have two conditions and you have to choose between those two, you have to select between those two, then you can use if else that you have seen, and if you have more than two, then you can use if else ladder. There are some situations where you want to repeat one of the operations again and again. You want to perform some of the operations again and again. Then you can use iterative statement, iterations, using loops. So they are similar to other programming language. You have different options for loops. Here as well you have so my voice is going okay. Jari. So ये एक्चुअली क्या मल्टीपल आवाज आ रही है अच्छा एकदम मेरा बंद है So normal flow of control, you have seen that if you are writing statement 1, then statement 2, and 3, and 4, and so on. So in the scripting language, the execution starts from top statement and it goes top to down. So that is the normal flow. And based on some condition, if you are taking some decision, if you want to change that flow control, then you use either selection statements if you want to make choice, which you have seen using if or if else or if else ladder. If you want to perform some operation, let's say statement number 5, you want to perform that operation number of times, then you can use iterative statement like loops. And in the Python, similar to other programming language, you have two options. Either you can use for loop or you can use while loop. Since if else statement, which are the selection statements, and loops, which are iterative statements, both are block statements. Block statement means if you are writing if and you are writing condition, let's say a is greater than 0, then if you are writing column and you are writing some statements here, so these statements execute when this condition is true, and there could be more than one statement. So this is a block statement. And in Python, you usually use column to represent a block statement, and you use indentation to identify whether that those statements that are belong to particular block or not. In other languages, like C or any other language, you usually use curly brackets, right? So loops are also block statements, and the block of the statement which are inside loop, it will execute for number of times until the condition is satisfied. So for example, here let's say you want to perform some counting operation. So that from the real world, let's say you have developed a website and you want to find out how many users have requested or opened that website. So you want to find out the total number of HTTP requests that has been received on the website. So every time whenever someone is opening a website, you want to increase a counter, and towards the end you might have seen, okay, so that यहाँ पे एक notification आ रहा है, so ये okay वाला है,
Auto power up.
auto power, please keep your device on.
Auto power.
नहीं आता
So
उसे
ये
आपके इसमें वो वहाँ होगा
इसमें
वो
इसी में दबा दो, ओके,
वो ऑटोमेटिक हो जाएगा सर, वो वापस चालू कर लेंगे
ओके कर लो।
हाँ
हाँ
टच नहीं वो सर ऑटोमेटिक होगा
हो जाएगा कंटिन्यू करो।
आप कर लेंगे तो उससे कोई लेना
हाँ,
नहीं
उससे अपना कोई लेना है।
हाँ।
Sorry.
वो हीट हो जाता
What the
है
interruption? So okay, so I was giving an example where you can use a counter concept. For example, if you are accessing any website, so this website I want to keep track how many users have accessed it. So what I can do, I can create a counter, and every time whenever a particular user accesses the website, I increase that counter. And with the value of counter, I can interpret how many users have accessed that website. So that also one of the examples. So here it is, a simple example is given of counter, and that counts in the negative, so in the opposite direction. So you might have seen in the counter there in the traffic signal as well, which start from some number and it decrease one by one. So that here this example gives you the line number first basically takes an integer value, right? So input function gives you a string, then you cast it using int, and that converts into int, and that statement start from while. So one of the idea is you can write while loop, and you can write the condition, and that is start of the block statement. And whatever the statement you write here, for example statement 1, statement 2, these statements will be executed jab tak whenever this condition is true. So this statement will be executed till the condition is met, till the condition is true. So here we have taken, let's say, count, we take some value, and this while loop checks for the condition if count value is greater than equal to 0. First we are printing the count, and then we are decreasing the count. And if you see, both are indented and tagged inside this while block statement, and the next print statement is starting from similar to where while is started. So it is not inside the block statement, so that is not the part of while statement. So if you run it, let's say if I write
ये आपको गया
कौन सा इससे कोई नहीं ये आ रहा है ना वो सर हीट होने की वजह से
वो
2-4 मिनट में वापस स्टार्ट कर दीजिए नहीं वो चालू कर दिया
Alright, meanwhile it is running, let me give an example. If let's say if we assign count is equal to 5, then the first statement which is printing the count, it will print the 5, and in the next statement we are reducing the count variable by 1, so that will reduce count variable by 4, and then this flow control will again reach to the while statement, and it will again check whether count is greater than equal to 0, which is 4 is less than 0, then again those two statements will be executed. So if you want to perform some repetitive task, you can use loops to do that. For example, let's say you have, suppose you want to perform this task. So let's say this is a math function which represents a summation from I is equal to 0 to n, and you want to perform, let's say, find out this. Now if you expand this, which is nothing but it is 2 to the power 0 plus 2 to the power 1 plus 2 to the power 2 plus 2 to the power 3 and so on. Now if you see this, in plus operator is a binary operator, so it takes two elements and add together. So what we can do, we can take two elements and we can add, and whatever the result we get, we take that as a one operand, and in that we can add another value, and this operation will be repeated until let's say suppose n is equal to 10, so that goes up to 10. So 10 times we are, what we are doing, we are for n number of times we are performing addition operation again and again, and each time we are taking two different operands and then we are adding it. So add operation we are doing again and again. So that also you can represent by loop. So you can find out the sum. For example, let's say for this example, let's say we write a variable sum is equal to 0, and we want to perform this operation until n is less than equal to 10. So we are going up to 10, assuming n is equal to 10. What we want to do? We want to add into sum. What we want to add? We want to add to the power I. Or here you can write n, and that also you can initialize, let's say n is equal to 0, and you can increase n by 1. So towards the end, that some value you will find out the total sum. So some of the operations you want to perform iteratively more than one time, then you can use it. Okay, so why it is taking so much of time? So maybe let me connect with voice breaking.
Content sharing.
Okay, we need to change the lighting. So how to break an infinite loop? So that you can use a break statement that we are going to see. You can always have an infinite loop for, let's say you want to always be ready for some input from the user, and that infinite loop you want. Screen is not visible. Yes. Okay. And you can use the break statement to come out of the loop. Another is question is for I in range 5, 1, so you can always try it. That is for the exploration purpose. So for iterating over list also you can use loop. One of the simplest idea, you can use for loop. So using for, you provide a iterator. Usually when we write an iterator name, you write I, J, K, which is not naming, so not good naming convention. So this is here, we can see here it is list iterator we are using as a iterator in particular list variable, and we are printing list item. So using the iterator you can iterate over a list which consists of different types of data. Also, you can provide a range as well. So similar to the question that you have for I in the range 5, -1, you can also see here in the list given there consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 0 to 7, 8 elements. You can iterate over list by providing a range starting from 2 going up to 7, and step size is 2. So you are taking a step size of 2 and you are printing an element. So if you are printing the element by providing the index, so that will start from 0, 1, 2, so which is at 2, it will start from 2.0. Then it will take us 2 steps, so it will not print false, it will print ABC. Again it will take 2 steps, then it will give you 2.0. And after 2 steps, which is out of the index, so it will print all the elements which are there at index 2, 4, 6. And for the range option that we have shown, starting from 5 and going till -1, you are using step size -1. The question that asks how to come out of the infinite loop. Also, from any loop you want to abruptly terminate or come out of the loop, you can use the break statement. So in this example, if you see here, we have a variable assigned 10, and while variable is greater than 0, so we are going we will perform this operation, these 4 statements while variable is greater than 0, and each time we are printing for a variable current value, and we are decreasing the variable value by -1. And for particular case, let's say if variable value is 5, we are breaking, so that break statement will directly jump out of the loop. So the loop statement will not start again, continue the while loop. It will just come out of the loop. Even in the next iteration, the condition will be met. So then, if you run this and network. So Okay, fine. So you can see the output that is given here. So current value is 10, and if the condition is checked, it is greater than 0, it is printing the current value, which is 10, and we are decreasing the value -1, which will, the variable becomes 9, and this if condition will not run, and again the loop condition will be checked, and it will go up to variable current value 6, and the variable when it is decreased, when it becomes 5, when variable value is equal to 5, then it will break. So if these two statements are not there, then this printing value will go up to up to 1. But we have provided a break to come out of the break, meeting some certain conditions, so that will break when variable value is 5. Similarly, there is another keyword called continue. So if you see here, let's say this is your block of statement of a loop. So loop start from statement 1, statement 2, and so on. So this is inside a loop. When you write a break statement, that directly your flow of control jump out of this loop and start from the immediate next statement after the loop. So let's say this statement is something like statement number 10. So from here the flow of control will jump here. However, there is another statement called continue. So if you are using continue here, and suppose here two more statements are there, statement 3 and statement 4. So if you are using break, so break will break the flow of control, and it will, you will come out of the loop to the immediate statement after the loop. If you are using continue, and in the break case also statement number 3 and 4 will not be executed, and you will come out of the loop. In continue, the flow of control will jump to the start of the loop. So that will jump to the start of the loop, and the statement number 3 and 4 will not be executed. Right? So unlike break, which is breaking and coming out of the loop, the continue keyword takes you to the start of the loop, and again the condition will be checked, and statement number 1 and 2 will be executed. However, the statement number 3 and 4 will not be executed because of the continue statement. If variable is 5, then output is nothing to display, sir. Okay. So if we put variable is 5 here, and let's see what happens. So particularly this statement. Okay, so not this one. So users continue. So you had. Okay, so I don't know why it is taking some time. So let me explain this the code. So if you see here, this variable, if you keep the 5 value, then if you see here, you are checking condition 5 is greater than 0, which is fine, and you will printing the variable before decrementing it. So that will decrement to 4, and then you are checking whether the variable value is 5 or not. So for this particular code it will run, and we are, before checking whether variable value is equal to 5 or not, we are decreasing it by 1. For this particular code it will work. So if you are starting from 6, then it will break. Just printing after the 6. So okay, so that is about break and continue and starting discussion of loops. The loops or iterative statement will be continued in the next session as well. So we are stopping here. So time, I think, for today's session is over. So we will continue in the next session tomorrow. Once check variable 6 in break statement. Yes. So yeah, I mean you can dry run and you can check. Okay. Meanwhile, if you have any question, then you can ask in the chat. I'll give you the answer.
Okay, then thank you to everyone for joining the today's session. Tomorrow's session we will start with few of the examples from conditional statement as well as from the looping statement. Then we will continue with the various data structures, list, tuple, dictionary, which will be more useful in the various applications. So we will recontinue all this concept tomorrow in the lecture session. Okay, then thank you. You have the where 6 minus 1 5 after it break and output is statement. Anyway, if whatever variable that is going to become equal, it is not equal to where equal to, it is not equal to 5. It is a assignment operator where is assigned the value 5. So always that condition is going to become true. If the condition is true, then they are going to be execute the break statement. Okay, then thank you everyone and see you in the tomorrow's session. Thank you.
इसको कर दो बंद।